Hi everyone, in this lecture we are going to cover some more relative units. So first off, let's go ahead and create some HTML. I'm going to create a div and I'm going to give it a class of box, and I'm going to create a section, and within the section I'm going to create a div, and the div is going to have a class of inner box. None of these are going to have any kind of content within them. So let's dive into CSS. We're still talking about relative units. So I'm just going to say relative units. Now let's talk about a little more of relative units. So I'm going to grab the box class. I'm going to set it a background color. The background color is going to be FFC D3. There we go. Let's save that. And I'm going to give it some height and some width. Now, before giving it some height and some width, so we can see our content, let me select the div with the class of box, and I'm going to switch into the responsive menu. Now, I don't think we have talked about this responsive menu before. Now, whenever you're creating websites, it is absolutely essential that you take a look at your website when it is a tablet size, a mobile device size. You need to make sure your website works well on all different screen sizes. That's why there is a tab here. It says Toggle Device Toolbar. When you click on it, this is our web page. You're going to see this is the width that we have so far, and this is the height. And the percentage is 50%. You could make it larger. This depends. This works for the screen. So if you set it to 100%, it means that this is going to be the 100% of your device. For me, the laptop screen is almost 1500 pixels. So if I go to 100, you can see that I can't go any longer. It's 1476 for some reason. Now, this is the first value is width. If you hover, it's going to show you. The second value is height. Here are some common devices that when you create a website, you can just click on any of them. And this is the device simulator. Instead of like putting your website on all different devices, buying all these phones, what you're going to do is you're just going to simulate them here. So if you click on any of these devices, you're going to see a certain like iPad Air. So the iPad Air's dimensions are 820 by 1180. And you're going to see how your website is going to look like, what changes you need to bring in, just to make sure your website looks good on all devices. So this is the responsive tab. The reason that we are talking about this is because this one has a very cool feature, and that is you can enlarge, decrease, or increase the width of the window. And when you decrease the width, you can see the width is being decreased. If you increase it, the width is going to be increased. And this is going to show us how we can gradually provide media queries and different styles to make our website responsive. So enough of this. I'm going to come into our code. Now, the first unit that we're going to cover is going to be VH. VH means Viewport Height. This is a very, very relative unit. Let's say you have 600 height within the web page. Let's say your web page is 1500 by 600. So height is 600. 50 VH means 50% of the current height of your page. So if the current height of the page is 600, it means 50 VH means 300 pixels. So these values are pixels. Keep that in mind. So if I save this, you can see that the height of this is 300 pixels. That is not the cool part. The cool part is what I'm going to show you next. So let me bring this up. Let's grab, okay, this is the box, 50 VH. If we go to compute it, you're going to see it says 300 pixels because height is 600 pixels divided 50% of it is 300. VH, viewport height, 50% of the viewport height. Now, if I make this height bigger, you can see the box is getting bigger as well. So if I make it smaller, the box is getting smaller. Now you can see how when the device height is changed for different devices, how the content is actually reacting, how your website is reacting. This is called responsiveness. We are going to work with VH values a ton when we get to our projects. For width, we have 50 VW. This is viewport width. So whatever the width of the viewport is, 50% of it will be applied to this box. So 1500, 50% of it is 750. Let's save that. Now, if you make this smaller, the box is getting smaller. If you make this bigger, the box is getting bigger. This is very, very cool. These are extremely flexible units. Now, let's talk about another unit, and that is the percentage unit. So let's say we have a margin top of 10 pixels for our section. We also have a background color of FF5C 8D, and then it's going to have a height of 250 pixels and a width of 1000 pixels. Let's take a look at this one. So here is what we just coded. I'm just going to get out of here and let's dive into code. So the section, which is the parent of this inner box, it has a height and it has a width. So the height is 250 pixels fixed and the width is 1000 pixels. Now, the next unit that we're going to cover is the percentage unit, inner box. So for the inner box, what I'm going to do is I'm going to provide it with some background color, and we don't see it because it doesn't have any height and width. Now, if I say height 50%, what do you think happens? Does this 50% apply to viewport height, or does this 50% apply to the height of the immediate parent, which is the section, which is 250? So is this the height of the viewport, or is this the height of the does this depend on the height of the viewport, or does it depend on the height of the section, which is the immediate parent? It depends on the height of the immediate parent. 50% means 50% of the current height of my parent. So if I were to save that, here it is. So it grabs exactly 50% of the height. So let's just make this smaller, and there we go. You can see that it says 50%. The width is 1000. Let's put it to 500 so we can see it within the same page. Put it to 600, maybe. There we go. So 50% of it will be, the height of the box is going to be 50% of the height. But what about the width of the box? So if I say width, let's put it to 50%. It's going to be for 50% of the width of the parent. So now the height is half of the height of the parent, and the width is half of the width of the parent. Now these values, percentage values, they depend on the immediate parent. And viewport height and viewport width, they are the height and the width of our HTML document. Keep that in mind. So with this, our discussion of CSS units comes to an end. There are a lot more CSS units, but we are not going to cover them because they're quite irrelevant in today's web development world. That's it for this lecture. See you in the next one.